and welcome to the Ssc Cgl mock test, and of course this is a topic based test that we are doing here. So for today our topic is going to be something called a Cloze test. So let's get started to see what it is. So they have listed out a paragraph over here, and let's read the instructions first. In the following passage, some of the words have been left out. First, read the passage over and try to understand what it is about. Then fill in the blanks with the help of the alternatives given. So in this passage, some words are left out, and they have also given options below each passage. So we need to, below each number rather, so we need to select which number it is. First, let's get to the passage. It reads, science meets knowledge, but not all knowledge is science. I know from my own eyesight that our dog Chippy loves papaya. I know from a book that Akbar was the dash of Babur. Now here is our first gap, our first alternative we have to choose. So among the words over here which are given below, we have grandson, we have grandfather, we have grandnephew, and we have son. Now, if you know a little bit of history and a little bit of general knowledge, we can make out that Akbar was in fact the grandson of Babur. So we go ahead and select the option over here, which says grandson, which is option A, of course. So we go and click option A. Option A is the right alternative for number 1, and so we go and click on option A. We say grandson and say save and next. Okay, so coming back to the passage again, I read, I know from a book that Akbar was the grandson of Babur, of course, and the next one, gap number 2, says and dash in 1605, and they are talking about Akbar, of course. And so is it going to be gone in 1605, died in 1605, disappeared in 1605, or absented in 1605? And we know from history that he in fact died in 1605. So it's going to be option B, which is the right option for us, and we say died. So we click on died, and we can go on to the next question. So our next part is, and I know dash the radio that India did not do well. So let's look at what are the alternatives for number 3. It says on, in, since, and from. So when we are talking about the radio, and I know from the radio, it's going to be the option D, which is the right option. So we are going to click on from over here, option D, and we know from the radio, and I'm going to click on option D and say next. So we come to option 4, and I know from the radio that India did not do well in the dash test matches. And let's look at the options they've given here. They are old, ordinary, latest, and outdated. And among all of these, the right option is option C, which says, and India did not do well in the latest test matches. So we go and click on option C, and then say save and next. So coming to question number 5 here from the Cloze test. We are done with in the latest test matches. So number 5 says we can call these, so this is the line we are referring to over here, we can call these dash of knowledge. And let's look at the options that we have here. It says pieces, piece, whole, or block. So it's going to be option A, which is pieces of knowledge. We call these pieces of knowledge, so I'm going to click on pieces, option A, and then save and next. So we come to number 6, and Number 6 says we call these pieces of knowledge dash. So what is dash going to be? Is it going to be lies? Is it going to be charges? Is it going to be facts or blame? And in fact, it's going to be the third option, option C, which says facts. And we call these facts of, we call these pieces of knowledge facts with a comma. So I'm going to click on option C and go and say next. So on to question number 7 in the same passage, and we call these pieces of knowledge facts, but they are not science. Now 7 says science dash without facts. So is it science starts without facts, stops with facts, passes or drives? And the correct option is option A, which says science starts with facts. So I'm going to click on option A and click next till we come to number 8, gap number 8 over here. We scroll down, science, yeah, we are here, right down here onto number 7 and number 8. Science dash with facts, but not with facts which have 8. 8 is the gap we need to fill. So over here we have these 4 options they have given: no, neither, nor, or nothing. So let's look at the sentence again. And science starts with facts, but not with facts which have no to do with each other, neither to do with each other, nor to do with each other, or nothing to do with each other. The answer is going to be option D, which says nothing to do with each other. Science, but not with facts which have nothing to do with each other. So we click option D and say next. On to question number 9, and over here in the same passage we have done till which have nothing to do with each other, like the fact about a dog, cricket and the Mughal ruler. These facts are not related dash. So is it going to be these facts are not related, by the way, in any way, from the side, in addition to? And the correct option is option B, which says are not related in any way. So we will go and click option 9 here, option B, that is for 9, and say next. So we come to number 10, and gap number 10, let's go down to it. Are not related in any way, so have nothing dash with science. So is it to lie, to speak, to sleep, to do? In fact, it is option D, and so have nothing to do with science. So we click option D, and the last line reads science starts with observation. So we can go ahead and save in next. So on to the next passage now, and it's question number 11, and let's read the passage first, what it says. It's part of the Cloze test, of course. So it reads, almost every full moon night, the officials in Andaman and Nicobar Islands take part in a cautious ritual. The tribesmen watch from a safe distance as the officials dash the island in a boat. So is it going to be approach the island, depart the island, present the island, or absent the island? And it is going to be the first option, which is option A, which says approach the island in a boat. So let's click on approach and say next. And let's read on. So watch from a safe distance as the officials approach the island in a boat, dash gifts to them, which is number 12. And what are the alternatives given here? Options: coming, leaving, carrying, and relieving. And it's going to be option C, which says carrying gifts with them. That's the only thing that makes sense over here. So let's go ahead and click on carrying, option 3, and say next. So on to number 13, and let's read on in the same passage. The islanders come dash hesitantly only after the officials. So come dash is what we are looking for. Come forward, come backward, come sides, or come upward, and it's going to be come forward. Of course, it's going to be come forward. Option A it is. And so we click on option A and say save and next. On to question number 14, and let's scroll down in the passage. The islanders come forward hesitantly only after the officials dash dump the coconuts. Dash dump the coconuts, has dumped the coconuts, have dumped the coconuts, had dump the coconuts, or be dump the coconuts. In this case, it's going to be the officials have dumped the coconuts, because remember officials is a plural, so we need have and not has. Have dumped the coconuts. So we are going to click option B over here and say next. So on to number 15, and in the same passage, let's read on. It says the islanders come forward hesitantly only after the officials have dumped the coconuts, brought dash them onto the beach. Brought by them, brought to them, brought in them, or brought for them. It's going to be option A, which says brought by them. Brought by them onto the beach. So we click option A and say save and next. On to number 16. So dump the coconuts brought by them onto the beach and begin dash away from their small island. So begin watching away, or seeing away, or sailing away, or stopping away. Is going to be begin sailing away. Begin sailing away from their small island. So it's going to be option C, the right option. And we save and click next. So on to number 17, and we're going to scroll down the same passage, and it says on some nights the tribals even dash up enough courage. So is it going to be leave up enough courage, muster up enough courage, come up enough courage, or present up enough courage? It's going to be option B, which says muster up. So we click option B, muster up enough courage, and we go and click option B and let's say next. On to number 18, and we read on some nights the tribals and even muster up enough courage to swim up to a few feet dash from the boat. So is it correctly from the boat, swim a few feet correctly from the boat, distantly from the boat, near from the boat, or away from the boat? And it's going to be option D, which says away from the boat. We are going to go and click on option D, away from the boat, and click and say next again. So coming to number 19 in the same passage, let's scroll down all the way. The last line over here, it reads, the officials maintain that they do dash want to interfere with the way of the life of the tribals. Is it going to be they do no want, or they do neither want, they do not want, or they do nor want? And of course it's going to be option C, which says they do not want to interfere with the way of the life of the tribals. And so we click option C, click and say next. On to number 20, and last line over here, it reads, the islanders dash heavily on the mainland for some goods. Is it going to be spy heavily, rely heavily, occupy heavily, or reply heavily? And it's going to be option B, which says they're going to rely heavily on the mainland for most goods. So we are going to go ahead and click on option B. And click and say next. So on to question number 21, and it is a fresh passage again, and let's read the passage from the top. It reads, "The solar system has been a complicated wonder for the astronomers. This is a dash to which we may never have the exact answer. This is a problem, this is a question, this is a matter, or this is a query." And the correct answer is this is option B, which says this is a question to which we may never have the correct answer. So let's click on option B and say next. So let's read on. Man has wandered dash the age of the earth. So is it man has wandered around? Once again, let me scroll it down. Around the age of the earth, out the age of the earth, about the age of the earth, or on the age of the earth. And it's going to be option C, which says man has often wandered about the age of the earth. So we click option C here and save in next. So man has wandered about the age of the earth dash ancient times. Is it since ancient times, during ancient times, around ancient times, or from ancient times? It's in fact option A, which says since ancient times. So we go and click on option A and save in next. So we come to question number 24 in the same passage, and let's read on from this line over here. There were all kinds of dash that seems to have. That were all kinds of ideas, opinions, stories, or matters. And the correct answer is option C, which says stories. They were all kinds of stories. They are talking about from ancient times. So they are all kinds of stories there. Let's click on option C and say next. And let's read on. They were all kinds of stories that seem to have the dash. Is it solution, novel, book, or answer? And the correct option is option D, which says that seem to have the answer. And we click option D and save in next. So on to question number 26 in the same passage, and let's scroll down to the passage where we left off. But man could not begin to dash about the question scientifically. So is it read, think, open, or guess? And the correct answer is option B, which says man could not begin to think about the question scientifically until about 400 years. So we go and click option B and say next. On to number 27, and let's scroll down on the passage. So man could not begin to think about the question scientifically until about 400 years dash. 400 years now, 400 years time, 400 years then, 400 years ago. And the correct answer is option D, which says 400 years ago. So we click option D and save in next. So on to number 28, and it's from the same passage. We need to scroll down right till the end of the passage, until about 400 years ago, when it was proved that the dash revolved around the sun. Is it the moon revolved around the sun, the time revolved around the sun, the earth revolved around the sun, or the Mars revolved around the sun? It's going to be, of course, option C, which says the Earth revolved around the Sun. And we click option C. We save and say next. So on to number 29, and we have to scroll right down to the end of the passage. And it says, when it was proved that the Earth revolved round the Sun and the Earth was a dash of our solar system. Is it part of our solar system, division of our solar system, opening of our solar system, or center of our solar system? And the correct answer is option A, which says part of our solar system. We go ahead and click option A. Save and next. On to number 30, the very last bit of the passage. Once again, I'm going to scroll down right to the bottom. That the Earth was a part of our solar system. Then scientists knew where to. Options are end, begin, think, and work. And the correct option is knew where to. Option B, begin. Knew where to begin. So we're going to click option B and say save and next. So on to question number 31, and it's a fresh new passage, and let's get down to the passage straight away. It says a dash becomes a flowing stream, and let's read through it in a flash. Becomes a flowing stream, and only dash there is continuity of dash life in a society. Well, there are lots of dashes here. In fact, the first option, 31, it says civilization, culture, idea, or philosophy, and it is in fact option A, which says a culture. Option B, sorry, a culture becomes a flowing stream, only dash. Now that is for the next question. So for the question number 31, we click option B and click and say next. So we come to number 32. A culture becomes a flowing stream, only dash there is continuity of. So only at, only what, only when, or only as, and the correct answer is only when. Option C, only when there is continuity of dash life in a society. That is for the next question again. Before that, we have to click on option C and say next. So we come to 33 and scroll down again. Becomes a culture becomes a flowing stream only when there is continuity of dash life in a society. So is it individual life? Is it nature's life? Is it society's life? Or is it collective life? And the correct answer is option D, which says collective life. Only when there is continuity of collective life in a society. So we go ahead and click option D and say save and next. So on to question number 34. It's in the same passage, so we'll have to scroll down. In dash words. Is it going to be in different words, in difficult words, in other words, or in many words? It's going to be option C, which says in other words. So we go and click option C, save and next. So we come to number 35 and we need to scroll down to see the options. In other words, a dash culture. So is it a distinct culture, a unique culture, a clear culture, or a foggy culture? It is going to be a distinctive culture, option A. A distinctive culture, we click option A and save and next. So we come to number 36. We need to scroll down again right till the end. In other words, a distinctive culture comes into dash. So is it comes into phase, comes into existence, comes into action, or comes into thinking? And the correct answer is comes into existence, option B. Option B it is. So we click option B and save and say next. So on to question number 37, and let's go ahead with what we're reading. In other words, a distinctive culture comes into existence when people dash a continuous way of life. People develop, people create, people follow, or people end. It's going to be people follow a continuous way of life. Option C it is. So we click option C and save and say next. So on to number 38, and it reads, such dash expresses itself. Is it inconsistency? Is it uniqueness? Is it greatness? Is it continuity? Now if we read through the passage, we will know it is going to be option D, which says such continuity. Such continuity expresses itself dash various ways. We'll get to that later. For now, let's click on option D and say next. So on to question number 39 of the Cloze test, and let's get down right till the end. And such continuity expresses itself dash various ways. Right, the last line over there. Is it going to be in various ways, of various ways, with various ways, or at various ways? It's going to be option A, which says in various ways. So we go and click option A and say save and next. So we come to number 40, and we scroll right down. Such continuity expresses itself in various ways in common traditions and dash of conduct. Is it going to be rules of conduct, regulations of conduct, norms of conduct, or laws of conduct? And the correct option is option C. It's always norms of conduct. So there we go. Let's click on option C, save and next, and we are ready to submit our answers. Let's say submit, and there we have it. So thank you so much.